Look at this nonsense. Look at this. MIDI wizard. Have you heard of this?
No.
This is just such marketing nonsense. It goes the magic way to create radio-worthy music in 22 genres and get infinite inspiration. Instant generated unlimited hit-worthy chord progressions and melodies in 22 genres. What?
I
Why
guess
would
we're out of work then.
who would want this? Like, why is it saying this?
Where did you find that? Is that like a Facebook ad or something?
Yeah, they hit me up on Facebook thinking that I was their prime market for this, apparently. But the weird thing is, like, at what point in your career do you go, just give me a tool that does it? Like, who? Why are you doing music if that's what you do? I don't understand. Do they not know? I mean, their algorithm must be off. If they think that I'm the guy that's going to be like, give me a chord pack, I'll just toss that in.
Yeah. When I think of the name Adam Gubman, I always think of that's the guy who has 800 video game credits, who has an active team, obviously with Moonwalk Audio. I know that you do a lot of outsourcing, you do a lot of remote work. You have people work in your studio, but sometimes you're working remotely. And that just makes me think of, how on earth are you managing so much with your schedule? Because the most I've ever done is like 3 projects at once. And that's almost killed me. So I'd love if you could just give us a little bit of the inner workings of how that works and how you can manage so much.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thanks for thinking of me at all. I'm always, I don't really think of myself as being anything other than the new kid still. And I know that sounds really, really weird, I think, because um, I was thinking about like how I how I view myself and what my career has been since 2005 2006 when I really kind of got started, and then how my career just like completely changed in 2015, and the steps that I took to get there, to pivot there. And I realized, I mean, that's a long chunk of years from 2006 to 2015. That's, 10 years of me going, okay, what's coming next? How do I do this job? And even today, when I woke up, I'm like, oh, yeah, I have that thing with Steve today. And then I'm supposed to go work out with my trainer, but my wife is kind of tired today. So maybe we'll not do that because she's got to go run to do some stuff for my 14-year-old who's about to start high school. And then my 11-year-old has horseback riding today, which sounds like a bougie thing, but man, she's like, she just loves her horseback riding so much. And then my son, we're trying to keep him active during COVID because he went from playing sports every day and eating, like a ton of food to not playing sports every day, but still eating a ton of food because boys do that at 8 years old.
Yeah.
So now we're encouraging him to go out and play a lot. And so, you talk about like how you balance everything in your work life and building teams. And most of my team building starts here in like the first hour or so of my day, when I go, okay, well, first of all, I wake up every day going, who am I going to be as a person today? Like I've done like every year since I've started this career, and think, how am I going to, do this gig, and wake up in mild terror, wondering how I'm going to get through the day. And then I go, okay, well, what do I have to take care of for the kids and for Allison to make sure that they can, operate their day and that they can go. And then I can start my day and worry about my team and stuff like that. So, I don't, I'm really flattered that I'm seen that way, but dude, it's like, it's a struggle, man. Like we are constantly trying to balance the scales. What do you put on the right side? What do you put on the left side? How do you keep that machine running? And and for me, like the concept of building a team goes much deeper than just who you're going to hire to do orchestration. It's really all about how can I fuel my engine so I can do the best job that I can as a composer. And a lot of times that starts with things that happen under the surface in your personal life and in your family life, and how you maintain those balances. But if you're talking about like the thing that you mentioned to me, which is taking on a big gig, and how do you do all those things? Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm pretty fast. I'm a pretty fast writer, and really that's a lot of what it comes down to, is that
Mm.
I've got some templates set up that I start with, But like yesterday I was like, so, I do a lot of stuff with Blizzard, right? Like
Right.
Hearthstone and some other stuff. And a lot of it is songwriting. And part of that songwriting stuff is actually like story building stuff. And so it's really cool for me to be able to be on that side of the story building team. By the way, Totoro Cup, just want to point that out. I don't
Oh,
know.
nice, nice.
This I bought these for me. These weren't like my wife or kids. Mock up. Anyway, so being on the front end of that means that uh, I I am like given lyrics or a concept or an idea, and I just have to piano sketch it out, like you were talking about, right? So yesterday, um, part of my day was get lyrics for this new expansion, new mechanics, new ideas, and sit down and write 2.5 minute, like Broadway style show tune, right? And I sit down and I go, okay, well, I'm going to block out, 4 hours to do that, thinking that it's going to take me all that time. And if I end up with any extra time, then I'm going to go in and see what's going on inside the house, instead of going, okay, well, I'm going to use that time to go and like look on Facebook or play World of Warcraft, which I still play, or like, lately I've been playing Destroy All Humans re-release, which is just a wonderful
Oh, nice.
game. That's Gary Scheinman,
I
actually.
just talked to him a few days ago.
He was one of
Love
the
him.
first composers that actually influenced my concept of what it means to write orchestral music, because he's got such a deep understanding of actual composition, and how to do different styles of music and how to do them well. And he was a huge inspiration to me early on in my career, back when I was, like in my early or mid 20s, 25, 26, and talking to a guy like that and just being able to go, hey, Gary, your score for Destroy All Humans was wonderful. Can we talk about it? And he'd be like, dude, let's talk about it. We talked about it. And I was like, man, everybody in this industry is so darn approachable. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
your question really was, how do I balance all these projects? With Moonwalk Audio and all that? And yes, it starts with me getting the right mental frame, because I like get super overwhelmed, and it's really hard for me to balance everything, because I would work all day if I could, because I love it so much, just like you do, just like all of us that do this job and wake up every day and go, man, I wish I could just like, get to know Serum today for 5 hours. And lately I've been getting really in depth with my favorite plugin company ever, which a lot of people aren't familiar with, called Acoustica Audio,
I haven't. Yeah.
ACUSTICA. And they do really amazing emulations, but improvements on classic gear, and it's not expensive. You got to check it out. ACUSTIC, and they sell them by sets. So like they have one that I just bought called Pink 4, which is a combination of all their Pink line of things. And what that is it's an API. So they, in their Pink tool set, they've got every API compressor and EQ, but they've also improved on the algorithms and made them sound just like, fixed some things that were inherently wrong with the API. And I love the API sound when I'm doing vocals and other stuff like that. I'm mixing pop. I run like in my vocal chain right now. I bounce around a lot. You remember that? Do you remember that I do this? But let me touch on this, because it's actually really, really interesting, I think. And maybe some people might benefit from this, is that, so in my vocal chain, I have two things that are really important. My Slate plugins, because I love Slate. And then lately I've been really depending on the El Rey by Acoustica, which I think is like $120 or something. And it's Greg Wells' custom compressor that they turned into a plugin. And it adds so much heat and color and characteristic, even in small doses. It's like cooking without salt for me now. Like even a pinch of it adds a lot of character. And then some sort of a bus compressor, like an API or an LA2A, or the 76 or whatever I'm using, depending on the vocals at the time. But man, that Acoustica stuff, you got to check it out if you haven't yet. So
Definitely. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah.
I get obsessed with that kind of stuff and go, man, I want to spend all day just reading documentation, right? Because I'm a dork, and like that's really fun for me. But I can't do it, because then it starts to, I think like you have an emotional battery that you can invest in things every day, and that battery includes investing in yourself. But the way to recharge that battery is invest in others. You know what I mean? So for me anyway, some people don't operate that way, but I feel like the concept of building a team helps, and building your family and investing in the people around you helps to recharge that emotional energy, so you can spend it on yourself. It's like a grind in an RPG. Like you really want that badass, materia expansion, like whatever you're doing. Like us, we've been playing. Allison and I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft lately, trying to like get ready for the new expansion. And so we've been on a grind to like up our rep in certain factions. And man, it's a grind. But once you get it, and you're like, wow, the reward to that is awesome. Well, I think the family works the same way, right? Because the reward is you can splurge on yourself a little bit. You can buy a toy for your studio. You can go do a fun thing with your family and all that. But it starts with investing in the people that help you build that. So let's talk about like the concept of building a team, because I think that when you are structuring a team, the most important thing obviously is trust, right? So for me, I have Alex Cox, my business partner, and Alex and I worked at another company for a long time. And when I left that company in 2013, Alex had left a little earlier over actually ethical issues. And everybody that's left that company, they left over ethics. And that's what I think is really important to note. And everybody knows who I'm talking about, but I don't want to say it right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Alex was working with another good friend of ours, Matt Rune, and Matt had worked with us at the same company as an audio producer. Matt is now working at Stars, which is a voiceover agency. And I had helped him out with some music stuff. And then Matt wanted to move on to Stars and do stuff like that. And so Alex had asked me if I would be their business partner. And I was like, well, I'm not really one to commit to like exclusivity, but let's try it out. And it actually worked really great. So, and for me, that wasn't that I didn't trust Alex, because I always trusted Alex, but it was just a matter of me going, is this going to be the right situation where I'm comfortable being vulnerable around this person? But I didn't know Alex as well back then, 5 years ago, when we really kind of reconfigured Moonwalk into its current stage. But that was something that was built up over, the course of a year. And now Alex is one of my best friends, and I can talk to them like every day, just as a friend, but also, I can express my own vulnerability and concern about things that worry me in terms of business and mental health and things like that. Our team grows slow because depending on the project, we have different needs, and depending on what we're doing, we're going to employ different people to do certain things. And now we've worked with a lot of composers in Periphery over the years, just mostly to go, hey, I know that you're looking for a little extra work. Hit me up. Let's do a thing. We have a lot of work all the time. And money's a thing, but we all claim to need it, but we don't really all need it that much once your basic needs are taken care of. Everything else after basic needs is just like, you're blessed if you got, some extra and you can buy a thing, right? But after all your basic needs are taken care of, beyond that, it's not, even like the way we spend here, my wife is very frugal, and I rarely buy things. And when we do splurge, it's usually on things like food or experiences, because that's what means more, I think, is to be able to share with something with somebody. So when we were building our teams at Somatone, that was a floating slip. You can leave that in or out. I don't know. When we were building our team at Moonwalk, Somatone was great too, because actually when I did work at Somatone, the thing I got out of that, and the best part about being a contractor for them, is that I got to know some people in the trenches really well. People like Ben Gabaldon and folks that I worked with on the daily that I learned to trust. And this is a really, really key component to team building. And you told me you're building a team and you're trying to keep this thing going. You found some folks to help you out. It's great. But you never know how far someone's willing to go for you until you see what they can do. And we've worked with lots of folks over the years. We have our associate composer, Joris, and he's been a dear friend of mine for a long time, that came to me as sort of like an intern from the Netherlands, and we became friends. And then I learned real quick that he was extraordinarily capable and willing to take direction and learn. And someone that can learn the way we like to do things is going to be, it means that they're willing to put themselves aside a little bit to benefit the greater good, the team concept, right? And teams are built upon the backs of sacrifice and trust, because you're sacrificing sometimes the way you might do something in order to maintain the engine of the team, right? And that sacrifice is on both sides. So yours is sacrificing the way he does things to benefit Moonwalk, and I'm maybe sacrificing making a little extra money to keep the engine moving faster longer, right? Like you either nurture the body of the car or you nurture the internal organs, the engine, right? You want that car to run longer, you get that engine primed, you maintain that. That costs more money. Maybe you can't afford to paint the car, right? But if you can keep the engine going, then what's more important, right? And you have to just determine, like, for me, it's always been about longevity. Everything I've done in my whole career has been about longevity. It's about building long-term relationships, about setting myself up to take the kind of gigs that pay a little less, but are more consistent. You know what I mean? And I'll explain that in a second. But anyway, so then we have yours, and we have a couple of other composers that we've worked with. Lately, we've been working with Jess Henderson, and she's done some really fun stuff for us for this game Clan O'Connell that we're working on, which is like a side-scrolling platformer, like Celtic mythology type thing. You know, we've done a little work with Nikhil Kopakar lately, and we're going to engage him for some other stuff too. And those aren't composers that we work with as part of Moonwalk's regular machine, but they are folks that have contributed, you know, and some other composers have contributed like that. But that's just, you know, our close-knit team. The only other member of our team, and there's only really 4 of us that do this on the regular, is Andy Frank, and he's probably not only one of the best implementation people that we've encountered, and one of, you know, the smartest dudes I know, but he also happens to speak Mandarin, which has really helped us out lately with our clients like ByteDance and other Chinese clients that we've been working with. But Andy also is just a really wonderful person, you know, and so is yours. I mean, Andy is like the kind of guy that goes, man, I know that we've exhausted the budget, but I got to do a lot more work to get this project done. And, you know, is it okay if I just go over a little bit? And we're always like, yeah, but we sometimes can't afford to pay you. And he's like, no, it's more important that, you know, this goes on our resume. It's a big thing. And so then, of course, at that point, I'm like, oh man, I got to go back to the developer and let them know that, like, our guy needs to do this work. And so then, you know, for this project, this clan project, they ran out of money, but they were able to scrape up an extra $2,000. And that was like really helpful to take care of some of the work that Alex had done on sound design and that Andy had done in implementation. So, you know, loyal team members, you fight for them and they fight for you. They fight for the team. They fight for, you know, the future of the company. They fight for the quality of the projects you're putting out. And in turn, you put that energy into them.
Would you agree that all of those circumstances were natural in the sense that you didn't seek out to hire people for those roles, but it was just kind of natural friendships and trust that happened over time that led to the next project? And, you know.
Sometimes, I mean, our team is bigger than that. I'll tell you this, like, let's talk. So that's our core team. Like on the outside, I have Jeff Askew, who's my guitar player, but he's much more than a guitar player. He's a trusted confidant when it comes to my production and mixes. And I've worked with him on almost every single project that involves guitar or some sort of guitar-ish type thing since 2005. And this guy, 15 years have been a collaborator. We've co-written. He'll come over, do sessions for me. I pay him more than I pay almost anybody else because he literally plays on stuff for me almost every day. And I talk to him all the time and I can trust him. He also happens to he runs the music department at Biola University out here, also the commercial music program. He's super smart. He's got a PhD, the whole thing. So, but we've worked together for a long time. And then I have Josh Plotner, my woodwind guy out of New York, and I really depend on him. And then lately I've been working with Leah Ziegler, who's a string player, and she's absolutely wonderful. And then I have a vocalist that I work with all the time, Peyton Kirkner, and she's 15 years old, and her and her mom are here all the time working on pitches for Disney and working on stuff like that. And then, other folks, like when I have to do music that requires a different twist, Gayatri, my friend Gayatri, who runs Chai Time Music, she's been a really like important member of our team in Periphery. And then anytime I need an orchestrator, you know, Penka Kuneva is like the woman I call. Like Penka is my number one favorite orchestrator to work with. And although she happens to be an incredibly talented and very astute composer, she really like her orchestration has been beneficial for us in a lot of ways. And then, you know, I have Sean Billings, my trumpet player, and I call him for literally everything. And now Adam Alisi, a drummer that I've been working with, that is tech for Greg Bissonette. And Greg Bissonette, who actually plays with Ringo Starr and Madonna and a bunch of other really well-known bands. He is one of our drummers also, but only when I can afford him because he's quite expensive. But Adam Alisi is also way more available and equally as talented. And so, you know, our team is big, and there's folks that I contact every day, all day, that I'm, you know, in constant communication with about that kind of stuff. So yeah, that stuff happens naturally, but also like with Andy, we looked for Andy, and Andy came to us as a referral, and that's like really beneficial too. And taking referrals from trusted friends is super important, you know?
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you're always in communication with musicians and with team members to help. So when do you write music, and how do you structure your day and your life to serve your family, and that's obviously a huge priority for you, but also it just sounds like you're a manager as well as a composer. Like, how do you compartmentalize that? Or is it just literally every day, here's what's on the slate today, let's do this? And
yeah,
how do you feel about that?
Well, lately, so I was using this program called Asana before, which is pretty good for project management. But then I realized that I actually work better if I just open up Notepad on my Mac and just type out my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I start to manage that over the course of 1 week or 2 weeks. So I know exactly what I have to do every day. And it's been really easy for me just to look at that list and go, okay, knock these things off the list. And so, and then, you know, meetings like today, I'll put on Google Calendar so I know it's coming up. But that's really how I do it. And I block out the time to write that way. So I know, like, let's see what's on my slate today. So yesterday I did that trailer for Blizzard, but that was just step one, because once they approve the song in piano vocal form, then I can start to do arrangement and production. Or, you know, we tweak until we get there. Yesterday, I also turned in another trailer for Hearthstone that we did, and then prepped the Pro Tools session for mix for that. And then
Were you personally doing all of those things, or is that amongst your team? Wow.
No, Alex was managing some stuff for Zynga for us, some sound design projects over there. And Joris is doing his own thing right now. He didn't have anything for us. Andy's still working on Clan O'Connell, but he only does it a couple hours a week now because we're waiting for the next boss to be released, which Hit Grab Games, the company that we're working with on that, promised us to be in the next few days. And that game is like a passion project. They had like such crappy budget, but we put a lot of extra time, and I basically spent all the music money on reinvesting in musicians anyway. So, and then yesterday I also, did I do this yet? No, I have to do this today. So I've been working on this project called Arkanites for Hypergriff for the past month and a half or so. And that had gone so well that Hypergriff put us on retainer and basically just was like, here's a big chunk of money. Can you do all our music for the rest of the year? And so we're like, yes, we would love to do that. And that's an ideal situation. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we take the gigs that are more long-term building gigs. So we don't have to we can do other things, but we know that our bases are covered. You know, that's why I taught piano for so long, because I knew that would sustain me to be able to do other stuff. So the day yesterday was that. And then I had to get, and Jason Deft, my mastering guy, we've been friends since we were 15. So, and I'm 40, so 41. So we've been friends for a long time. And he's like the only dude I call now for mastering, because he's like, first of all, it's like a family relationship, right? Like, I've known this kid since he got here from South Africa, and he was one of my first friends in high school. And we've stayed friends for all that time, pretty much, even though I don't get to see him all that often. But I know, like, yesterday I sent him 2 tracks from Abigail Barlow's new EP that I'm producing. I'm producing half of it. The other half she had done by some other folks before. And so I was sending the masters to Jason to master. So I had to do that yesterday too, in constant communication with him all day, sending texts while we're, playing video games in the evening and whatever. And then today, like, I know that I'm only going to work until like 3 or 4. because my oldest daughter has cheer and my wife is taking her to cheer. So I have a babysitter coming today at about noon, just to manage Piper and Jonah. So so they're kept busy and active, while I'm writing here. And so I know that on my plate today, I am going to add the rest of the vocals to Abby's last song for her EP and get that over to Jason for mastering. And then I have to get the Arcanite stuff over to my drummer, Adam, so he can play on that. And that's like a bebop jazz thing. Or maybe I sent that over yesterday. I might have sent it over yesterday. I did send it over yesterday. So today I have to work on a new Arcanite trailer, which is like 4 minutes long. And so I'm going to start sketching for that today. And then I have another 4-minute Arcanites project I'm going to do next week. But that's just like one day of work for me, So that'll be all I do is work on that trailer for today for like those 4 minutes. And I can probably do like a minute an hour. So that's about 4 hours. Yesterday I also did a features project for Game of Thrones slots for Zynga. And that took me about an hour to do, but it was only like 7 or 8 stings and a little transition or something like that. And then what else am I going to do today?
Oh, that's not it.
No, besides like Abby's thing and the Arknights thing. So I'm pitching for this Disney show, and I've been working on this other Disney show called Amphibia, and I doing some auxiliary songwriting for that. And so there's a new Disney show that I'm pitching on, and I got the demos like in line this week, Monday and Tuesday, got that a little bit, locked on, and today's Wednesday. So I'm ready to deliver those to Disney Television Animation for approval. We already went through one round, and this is for a new TV show, a new pitch. And the pitch was to write 2 songs, and I wrote those 2 songs. And then they liked the songs, but they changed the way that they wanted the production to be. They wanted it to just read a little younger. So I actually went through and completely reproduced the songs last week and hired brand new singers. Hot tip. So with Disney, because the first ask was to do this like funk thing. And then they wanted something a little bit younger sounding. So I actually hired actors from Disney to do it, like actors from Disney Animation. And so I hired this really wonderful singer. Her name is Jenna Rosen, and she has done multiple roles for Sophia the First and Elena of Avalor. And she lives in LA. And my friend Jasper, who is another team member, my trusted vocal contractor, Jasper Randall, and his wife, Sarah Mann, have been really instrumental in helping me get the vocal stuff. Because like when we do Hearthstone, and we've been doing a lot of like vocal recording since COVID, hire 6, 7 singers at a time and record them all remotely, and then have to edit them in one by one. And without Jasper, I would never be able to do that. So there's another team member that I cannot forget. And he's part of Encompass Music, which is Peter Rotter, who's probably the coolest dude, one of the coolest dudes I know. And also manages my friend Emily Bear, who's a pianist that, I'm going to work with her on some jazz stuff coming up here soon too. So man, it's like
everywhere.
Yeah, so today is those 2 projects. I don't think I'll hear from Blizzard today because it usually takes them a couple of days to get back to me on that stuff. But, if I get through some of Arknights today and tomorrow, I'm good. I have a song to write, too, for this other project that I'm working on right now, which is a musical theater style adventure ARPG type thing with a lot of songs in it and a celebrity cast. And so I'm producing the score for that and also writing the songs. And I promised the developer a song by tomorrow, so I'll probably do that tomorrow.
My head's spinning.
That's how I do it.
That's amazing, though. Yeah.
But I work fast. I go pretty quick.
So is that really just all in your head for like your to-do list for today? Because I would go insane trying to manage so many different things and trying to like compartmentalize my focus. Not that you certainly are doing a great job at it. I'm just curious, do you have an assistant that is like organizing your time, or is it really just you have a master list of all the things you're supposed to do and you just do the ones you want to do, and that snowballs your energy? Because clearly you get energized by doing this.
I do, but I get worn out.
So how do you protect that? Yeah, how do you like re-energize yourself and protect yourself from that?
Take breaks. I take breaks. Like I'll work for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'll stop and go make lunch. And then I'll work again. Then I'll go outside. My son and I just got this really cool, like It's a salt gun. It's called bug assault, and it shoots flies. So like what? Yeah, and so we'll like go outside. Yesterday, that's what we did for like 35 minutes. Is like I took a break and we exterminated flies outside of our. It's like sprays them with
Yeah.
salt. It sounds terrible and violent, but it's just fun. And then take break other ways. Sometimes I've been doing like push up breaks. Like I'll stop and do like 20 push ups and like just walk around for a minute because I gotta just like clear my head. But in terms of re-energizing yourself, man, it's easy to become overwhelmed with this amount of project load. I think right now, let me see what we're working on. So I got that pitch done. I've got my own musical that I'm working on, which is an animated thing, and I got to
Which
get
is fantastic, by the way.
we're still pitching on that, man. It's a long process, but in terms of like actual work, Abby's album, which is almost done, Arc Nights, which is going to be ongoing for hopefully indefinitely, Blizzard, which lately has just been Hearthstone a lot, but that's a lot of work because again, working with the story team is a lot of meetings,
Mm.
um, and helping to develop what these like expansions feel and sound like. A lot of it's happening from the music side, so that, and then we kick off. Oh, been doing a ton of voiceover stuff. So today I also have to do some proposals for Byte Dance because it's just like this new project has 71 characters, and for that we are gonna have Andy do be our voiceover producer for that because he's really great at that too. And then we have our constant Zynga stuff, and Zynga's been a really great consistent client of ours lately. We have Clan O'Connell that we're working on right now. We're doing a new game in a series of games that's been very popular since iOS came out that has to do with running in a temple, but I can't tell you the name of the game. And then we are also working on a new game project for CodeSpark, which does the Foos, which I've been supporting that game for almost 10 years now. And what else, man? One or two other little things. Oh, Alex has some stuff on their plate too that I'm not working on that they're just doing sound design for. So right now we might have like around 10 concurrent projects that I'm writing for, and then Disney too, but Disney slowed down and then came back up. So like they canceled all their projects at Epcot. I was working on an expansion over there, and then we stopped doing that. So now it's just Disney animation is what I'm working on, which is great. I'd rather do that anyway. Well, actually, not rather, but I love doing animation, and that's kind of what I'd love to get into is songwriting for animation, and that's been kind of like my dream. So, Happy Trails, which is that game I'm working on, that musical game I'm working on, and what else? Is that it? I think that's it.
How long have you been doing like that amount of workload? For years, I imagine. I now have no doubts about why you've worked on over 800 projects because you're just doing so much at all times.
When I was working at Somatone would tell people that they had 40 composers working for them, but it was really just me and this other guy. And so I got really good at writing quickly
Huh.
and keeping my production level up. I was doing 20 to 60 minutes a month for them at a bullshit rate that they, excuse my
Did you
language,
ever
but the rate was
do,
just terrible.
yeah, did you ever do TV?
I've done some, I mean, like now working with Disney TV animation, yeah, a little bit, but songwriting, not like score stuff. I mean, I'd love to score a
Yeah.
TV show, but also like, I don't know if like, I don't know what that would really look like. I think that would be very consuming because I would have to, it's a lot of meetings also. And
Yeah.
but I'd like to try. I mean, I don't see why not. I've definitely done, I mean, I've done like other TV stuff like the Today Show and sports shows, but that's just like, hey, you have, 3 weeks to write, some stuff for us.
Yeah.
But with actual TV, having to do spotting sessions all the time and stuff. No, but my good friend Josh Mosley, who I was just talking to the other day, he does a lot of TV, and he's doing his first big show right now, and I'm super proud of him. But he was telling me how his day to day looks, and it's not very different than what we're doing right now.
That's what it reminds me of. Just
Yeah,
that amount of music doing 20 to 60 minutes per month. That's a lot. But it's also, I don't know, it's inspiring for me to hear that you're able to manage that much doing so many different things.
I mean, like if you break it down, like even if you did
5 a day, maybe.
5 a day is still a lot though for a lot of people. I do like 3 to 4 minutes a day on a really busy day now. I won't do more than that anymore. I used to do the most I ever did, and my friend Ben still brings this up, is we had this one game that came in as a rush order, and it was like 12 minutes of music in a day. And I started at 8 in the morning and I was done at 8 at night. So I did about
Wow.
an hour a minute and delivered the whole score the next day. And that was pretty cool. And I'll never do that again.
I'll kill you.
Well, yeah, but you also sacrifice quality when you write that fast sometimes, and it's better to have a little breathing room. So I give myself breathing room now. Now I'll write like an hour a minute, but I'll, like my production's gotten better, I think, so I can like spend more time doing that. But also I just don't stress out about overbooking my days anymore. Like I put my time aside in the morning to do the meetings, and I put my time aside in the afternoon for meeting breaks and stuff like that. But like my actual writing time today, I might write for 4 hours to try to do like 3 minutes. And I think that's pretty good. And even that 3 minutes a day, if I was to do that every day, which I pretty much do, I'm probably doing 3 minutes a day every day. Like on an average, that's about my output right now. So 15 minutes a week, 60 minutes a month. Still the same as I was writing on a busy month at Summit, but I'm making, 20 times the amount because I'm paying myself and not,
Right.
doing what they're doing. So our rates have gone up, and with some of our clients, we're around the 2,000 a minute range, but still some of our clients are around the 1,000 a minute range, just because that's what people are comfortable with. And there's even some clients that we do, that are like just really new young developers with literally no budget. And at that time I've got, other folks that can help us out. Because I still have to, my hourly value, I still have to uphold that out of respect for my family. So I can't really afford to work for less than a certain amount. So I'm trying to keep I'm trying to keep my rate at between 1,200 and 1,700 for casual games, even then, because it's like, I just can't afford to work for less. But we have other folks that we work with that help us out when we want to maintain a client or build a client. And it's like maybe your situation you're explaining earlier, where I'll write a theme and send them the theme and then have them do the orchestration.
Yeah.
And then we do it for less than that, or I'll write one song for the game, like the theme song, and then they can do the rest of the music. And sometimes, with some of our clients, we were doing that, and I would like write 1 or 2 cues for the game and then give Yoris like 7 minutes of music to do, and he would knock it out in a week or whatever. And that would save me, but it would maintain the clientele. For me, that having a long-term client is more important than me necessarily making all the money. You know what I mean? Because like I said before, money comes and goes, but
Is your default answer to say yes if you absolutely can? And if not, you're trying to either like find another composer on your team in a way to expand your brand versus like handing it over to somebody else. You're just like, hey, come along with me. I'll do this amount of work. That way we can do it together.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And that's so the way that Moonwalk operates, as opposed to the way that some of our competitors do, and God bless them, they're doing great. And I respect their business models, but it's just not our business model. We are a boutique company that we're very hands-on. We haven't expanded to some enormous size of composers that we're trying to like give a ton of work to. And, these big VO gigs that Alex and I have on our plate right now, we have one with 43 characters and one with 70 something characters. And we told the developer, look, we're happy to do this work. And we know that they like our work, and they like the way that I was directing, and they like, my background's in theater also. So I've done a lot of like voiceover direction and that kind of thing. So that's why they, have asked to work with us. And also we've delivered fast and on time and the whole thing. But it does scare me a little bit to think about expanding too much, because I don't, what you said about having people come along with us. Yeah, but we don't want too many, because you dilute the brand. Let me give you an example. So when I produced, so I just started working with Abigail Barlow, and she's, TikTok artist, but she's also a friend. And when we started working together this year, we released one song that she had written and I produced. And right now it's up to about 500,000 streams, but we released another song 2 weeks ago, and that's over 1 million streams. And because of that, those two songs, every day I have 3 to 4 different artists hit me up going, hey, will you produce my thing for me? Will you do this for me? Will you do that? And I'm like, and these are all artists from social media, people off of Instagram, TikTok that have heard Abby's stuff and done the research, because Abby's not like doing, hey, follow Adam. Because I asked her, please don't do that, because I was getting a ton of like, I put a lot of personal stuff on my Instagram page, and it's just like, I don't want that. I don't want people being opportunistic looking for, work or whatever. So, because I think that's gross, by the way. But these people that were looking for production help, it's, the part of me goes, okay, well, these are people that are really trying to make their careers work. And if I was like opportunistic and wanted to take advantage of that, I could be like, okay, $1,000, I'll produce a song. Take me a couple hours, do it like an hourly thing. I spend 3 hours on it. I make $300 an hour. No one's going to scoff at $300 an hour. Produce a thing, get it out. Now, I would still battle with the idea of quality, because that's really important to me. But then you go, okay, well, if I was going to do that, if I was going to do like 20 of those a month, you make a ton of money, 20K. Maybe that's my only gig. But at what point do you go, I'm like trying to reserve my creative and emotional energy for the projects that really matter? Would I rather spend,
love it.
Would I rather like open the floodgates and just like dilute everything by working with all those people in that respect? Or would I rather save the songwriting and production stuff for an artist that really is going to reach a lot of people? Can I afford to wait that out? And yes, and I can. And, with video game stuff, it's different, because with video game stuff, like, we don't have 1,000 developers trying to hit us up every day. That's not happening. But the developers that we do work with know, and that when we talk to them, we're like, this is our rate. We do quality work. Alex and I are hands-on on every project we work on. So even if yours helps write or somebody else helps write, I'm still managing, I'm still writing on that project. We never do a project where I don't write something on it. And for our bigger clients, our clients that are like Zynga, who's very loyal and we work with all the time, for Disney, for Blizzard, for even Storm 8, for Arknights folks, the Hypergriff people, like, I'm doing all that work. I'm not sharing that with any other composer in our team, because our higher profile clients, I mean, even the stuff we're doing for Amanji right now, 95% of the projects I write everything on. Okay. Not because I don't think anybody else could do it, but because it's really important that that Moonwalk sound is a certain specific level of production and quality, So.
Well, let me ask this. I know that Alex does a lot of the sound design. Do you have your hand in sound design and sound effects personally, or is that you want to be the composer and you're sharing the workload that way?
Yeah, I want to be the composer only, and songwriter and executive producer of the music stuff. I've really been encouraging Alex to do more music stuff, because Alex is actually a really great bass player and guitar player and can write stuff and has done a few stings here and there. But Alex's confidence doesn't allow them to do it, because Alex also knows that I'm faster at it. So, just like I'm not as fast as sound design, I could certainly do some sound design, but Alex is way better than me and understands those projects better than me and can look at something and within 5 seconds know exactly what's missing and where to put things. And I'm just not wired that way, really. So Alex is the guru of sound design, and I manage all the music stuff. But when it comes to voiceover stuff, Alex and I both manage that, because Alex is really great with organization, especially better than me at spreadsheeting and maintaining all the little details of things like that. And I'm better at like the client relation type thing. So we tend to complement each other's abilities that way, both musically and creatively, and also in the way that we run the business dynamically. So while Alex and I are usually both on the calls that we do, on all the calls, even the sound design calls, sometimes I'll bow out and go, okay, well, I'm not going to do this call because I'm too busy, but you can handle the sound design call. And Alex will be on the music calls, but sometimes say, hey, will you just do this call? Because they don't really need me for anything.
What impact has that had on the amount of work you've been able to take on, having a team member that can do like the second half of the audio? Because one of the challenges I have is I have been approached multiple times. Hey, can you also do sound design? Not really. And I've tried it, and I've tried the outsourcing thing, but you almost are in this like really golden opportunity position because you have both elements. You can take on the whole project. Has that helped?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's helped me in my productivity, but certainly Alex and I, the way we structure our business, Alex keeps everything they make and I keep what I make. So it's not like having, I'm not making any money when Alex makes money out of respect for them and what they do. And Alex doesn't really take a cut of the music, although sometimes like if Alex is and ended up doing a lot more sound design and I finish the music early and there, it's just like, because we all know that music is more expensive than sound design. Sometimes I'll just send some of the extra money to Alex because I know that Alex works just as hard as I do, even though they might not have as many assets to do all the time, or even though the rate is a little different. We're trying to balance that out a little bit, but our hourly is about the same. And we were talking about that too. Like Alex can do enough sound effects to be able to make, sometimes $500 an hour, which is where I try to make 500 to 1,000 an hour. I know that sounds crazy, but for people that don't understand about music, but
yeah, that's right on. Yeah.
If I can do that and Alex can make around 500 an hour, and then Moonwalk is in a prime position, I feel like. And because it is mostly just Alex and I running the show, it does help to have some extra team members like yours and stuff, and Andy, especially. Andy's been great because especially with this hit grab game that we're working on right now, we can just be like, yo, Andy, can you just do a call for us? And then and while we can't necessarily for that project, because we do have to compartmentalize project budgets, because the way that some corporations work is they allocate money for certain things, right? And so once we hit a certain threshold on money for a certain project, but we have to pay someone, we might pull it from the profits of another project, depending on what the project is. But that comes out of Alex and I's pocket. So we have to determine, again, when I was talking about, maintaining the car versus adding an extra layer of paint to it, how do you want the car to move? And we definitely try to maintain that engine to keep it going. So we will pull from other project budgets to manage that. But with Andy, he'll jump on a call and then handle like the technical side of thing. And then we trust him enough and there's a trust thing again, where we don't always have to do that, but absolutely it does help to have Alex there. And without Alex, I wouldn't most of the projects that we've taken, especially companies like Zynga, where last month, dude, we did 25K at Zynga alone, just because there's so much work. But a third of that is sound design. And there's no way I would have had time to do all the sound design. So I actually make more money having a partner that does sound design, because it frees up my time, allows me to take the gigs that are like big gigs like that, where they're constantly ongoing projects. But the most important thing is it's commiseration and peace of mind. We can get on Facebook and we can blast our ideas to our friends or go, hey man, can I pick your brain about something? I want to ask you how I do this. But knowing that Alex is always there, and that we always have our Slack chat going, and that, Alex understands how shitty my clients are. I mean, even my wife, she didn't want to hear all the BS all the time. She's got her own stuff to worry about, she's there. If I wanted to talk to her about work stuff, that's fine. But she's, I'd rather come home and not blast about work for 2 hours. Yeah. But Alex, knowing that I've got a business partner that understands the dynamics of our clientele and how difficult they are sometimes, because there's some clients that are very, very difficult. And especially lately, we've had some clients that are just atrocious. And we're like, what is going on with people? But, you just try to smile and nod and do the best you can, or you say, this is too much and we're not going to do the project. But Alex gets it. And so it has been good. So yeah, financially and emotionally, and the whole spiritual concept of being able to, share that emotional workload with someone is super important.
Yeah. How do you feel working physically in the same room or in the same studio versus remotely has impacted some of those things?
Well, I think if Alex and I worked in the same space, we'd kill each other. So Moonwalk has never been in the same space, never. And so we've always been I did an article about this, I think for Pocket Gamer, where we talked about the benefits that Moonwalk has received because we understand how to work remotely and how to run that ship from two different locations. But being in the same space would be very difficult for us because of just the volume level, which we work, and we don't have a studio physical space. I work in my garage, and Alex built a studio at their place. But if we were to work in the same space, it'd be fun, but it might be a little distracting. And I really love working at home. I like being around the kids and being able to be here and be present, because even though I'm working, I'm still present and here a lot of the times. But yeah, man, I get to go on site a lot. Like, so when I get to go and work with like Disney at Imagineering, or if I'm at Blizzard, which I, do have to go to Blizzard a lot to work. It's a fun distraction, but I always leave those environments going, man, I'm so glad I'm not here working with, like a bunch of audio people all day. I need to be separate from that. I think that's what keeps me mentally sane also, is that this business is insane. It's nuts. And the people that we work with can sometimes be really challenging. Not that Alex is at all, but I'm saying our clients and stuff. And so not having that space where, someone can just show up anytime or be like, hey, we're going to come down to your place and do a meeting. Those kind of meetings are really intrusive. Not that I don't like to do them, but, like even when my friends from Zynga come out, we have, dinner. That's like, you plan on 2 or 3 hours of your day to do that. And it's a lot of time. And because we have a lot of clients, it would be a lot of investment. And that's difficult. But on a phone call, it's easier. You go, okay, well, we can do an hour, 2 hours or whatever. And then I don't have to drive anywhere. So
jump back into work. Yeah.
Just go right back to work or whatever. Or, like this, where take a shower, put on a t-shirt and board shorts, and I'm ready to go. It's just like life right now.
Yeah. Let's end with a question that I think will be really valuable for the listeners. What career advice would you give someone who's 25, they're at the very beginning, they're really wanting to get into game music, but they're having a really hard time getting that first gig, or at least enough sustainable gigs to live full time?
The best advice I can give is that it's okay to not have that. It's okay. I taught piano for so long, for 20 years, until I was 34 and 35 years old. And so really it's only been 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 almost, of me being able to do this full time. And what that means is like, you have to battle that whole like thing where you go, is it okay to have other work going on? It is. And I think a lot of composers do that. I mean, even guys that I know and gals that I know now that have maybe had really lucrative careers at one point, now they don't have as much, and they're doing other things, like they're doing advertising or they're doing, web design and stuff. And that's totally fine too. And I mean, not that I need to do it, but I've recently started teaching at Biola, just as a songwriting teacher and artist development guy. And I've done that because Jeff, that I mentioned before, that works there, he had asked me to come in and do that. And so, I do that remotely. And during the semester, I might devote like 2 hours a week to it, but it's really cathartic. And it reminds me of when I was teaching to make money. And so obviously I'm not doing Biola to make money. I'm doing it because it helps mentor and do that whole thing. But it's nice to be able to break up your day and do that. And I think for a lot of composers, they think that the life of doing this full time is going to be super glorious, and it's not. It's a lot of meetings and a lot of research and stuff. But for folks that are looking to expand their clientele, I mean, Alex and I don't have a tried and true method. Man, cold emails just don't work, but real relationships do. Although now it's difficult to have those, even though things like GDC summer and when you set up meetings, everybody's going, okay, well, we can just meet from home. So it might be a little easier for people that might be a little gun shy when it comes to like doing a real life meeting with someone. It's much easier when you're hiding behind your camera, or you turn your camera off and go, oh, I don't have a camera. And it's like a whole nother thing. But I think it's a matter of persistence more than anything else, and understanding that it's okay to go slow with the career development thing. Because relationships and real relationships from clients that you're going to want to have are going to come through trust, like I mentioned earlier, over a long period of time. and you develop those kinds of things. Blizzard didn't start out being as busy as they are just right off the bat. Neither did Zynga. Those were two clients that I built long-term relationships with. My relationship with Disney started out with me writing music for the parks, for Tokyo, and through the success that I had over there with the 35th anniversary stuff a few years ago and other hits that I had written for the parks that became like really popular over in Japan. I got to know Matt Walker, who's the head of music for all of Disney, and he and I hit it off. And then Yaron Spiewik, who is the senior music producer for Disney Imagineering, and we became great friends. And that happened after 4 years of me working with Disney. So that was a long, slow burn, relatively slow burn. And now I'm just getting into doing ride development. So I have a ride opening up at Tokyo based on Baymax this year. And then other attractions, I mean, Star Wars Galaxy Edge and other things that I worked on for Imagineering, that was a slow burn. That didn't happen right away. That was a long-term relationship that I built from doing a little job at first and going, okay, well, it's okay to do, a little job for someone, or a job that's, a smaller thing first. We're working with a couple of clients right now where we're doing just voiceover production in hopes to get some of the music and sound effects stuff. So another slow burn, but building trust with these clients and building long-term relationships is the key element of structuring, your foundation for a very lucrative long career. And it comes down to trust and consistency and quality, and perseverance, man. There's been so many folks that I knew from GDC back in 2005, 2006, 2007 that would come to the shows and stuff, and then they just stopped coming. And I don't know if they just gave up, or if life got in the way of their dreams, and which is a really sad thing, or if they just decided it wasn't for them. But the people that don't show up are the ones that don't get the gigs, but we show up with everything. And we constantly stay in contact with our clients, even the ones that we haven't heard from for a while. We're kicking off a new game today I forgot about this one, with a client we worked with 2 years ago, and Alex sent an email, as we often do, just to go, hey, what's going on? And they go, oh, you guys are back. Cool. Are you available for us? We have something that just came up. So, wow. Remembering your clients and remembering to stay in touch with them, even if you just do 30 seconds of music for them, every few months, put it on your calendar. You're going to be in touch with them just to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Hope you guys are doing great. And it's never the email going, oh my gosh, do you have work for us? It's always the email going, hey, just want to keep you in the loop. This is some cool stuff we're doing. Hope you guys are doing great. And they go, oh, Adam and Alex, cool. Or, oh, Steve, we remember you did some stuff for us a while ago, and now we happen to have this new big game project. And because you happen to be the person that hits up, you want to do it. So more often than not, people don't get work because other people forget about them. So, yeah. And that's the truth. And it's not because, people are forgettable, but we're all busy. So don't be forgettable. I think that's important.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. That's incredible advice. I know it's going to be really valuable. And we could sit here and talk for hours. I already know that. So instead of saying bye, we'll say until next time, because I know that this is some good stuff. And I love, just to kind of wrap it up, I love your perspective on putting family first. And then even within your work, you're still putting others first. It's like your entire decision-making process is based on how can I serve clients? How can I, how 20 or 30 years from now, is this going to still be a valuable relationship? Because you're giving relational equity up front. And it's never about the price. It's never about any of that, but you're just always investing in the people. So I admire that about you. And I think it's really inspiring for any composer in their career. And as always, I wish you the best, and I appreciate you for giving us some of your time today.
Good luck with your projects. Keep me in the loop.
Thanks, man. You got it. All right, Adam, have fun with your 17 projects today.
Talk to you soon, Steve.
All right, see you, man.